Bible actually literally says this was going to happen to us. Y'all were talking about how the Nigerians are coming, how different nations are coming, and they're doing better than us. If you go to Deuteronomy 28 and you look at verse 43, I'm gonna read it real quick, and I'll leave it.
They will be above only.
Us, though.
The foreigner will come and be better than you. You will be above only and not beneath. You rise higher and higher, and you should rise
better than native whites too, though. You know
right. So I'm gonna read it verbatim real quick. Two verses. The alien who is among you shall rise higher and higher above you, and you shall come down lower and lower. He shall lend to you, but you shall not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. So I'll leave it at that. Because
but
shows. Go ahead.
The foreigner is coming in and doing better than the people who are here already, black, white, whatever they are. I think that was the point.
That's not true.
Hey, Riggs.
You can only say that about the Asians.
Hey, Voss. Say that about the Asians. True. No, that the Nigerian too, though. Voss pointed out. Voss,
and the
you have numbers. Hey, Voss, do you have numbers that show the aggregate of the people? Because the reason I'm asking that is because sometimes when these things are said, it's like this to me. You get 3,000 cats who get shot. 1,800 of them die in the south side of Chicago. You go to a city like mine, and 100 dudes get killed. And because your numbers is smaller, they'll say per capita, you're as dangerous as Chicago. Man, go ahead with all that. It's like, look, if there are 160 million people of European descent in this country, and there's 1 million Nigerians here, and let's say half of them, 500,000 of them are like just making crazy bread, you would say, well, when I look at 160 million white people, 80 million of them don't have this, but there might be 67 million of them that have that compared to the 500,000 Nigerians. So the numbers can be skewed because you're not dealing with 160 million Nigerians in America sitting next to 160 million ethnic Europeans. Their numbers are much smaller. So when you get into percentile, it'll say, why? Look at the percentages of them that make this compared to this percentage of whites. But that percentage, they'll say 8% of whites make this, but 8% of whites will still be 10 times the number of 50% of the Nigerians.
And Zadok, on top of that,
into consideration.
And on top of that, Zadok,
numbers out there like that.
Yeah, and on top of that, you got to also keep in mind that maybe the Nigerian, you can say they're the doctors or whatever, and they're making a lot of money, but they're still coming in America, and they're still under the people who actually run and own America, which is we already know. You can call them, they have white skin. The Nigerians are still here, and they still know who's running things.
But how are you saying Nigerian and white skin? Right? Like Nigerian, like it's not white and black. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, so who's running it again? The people.
I'm not saying white and black. I'm saying that they have white skin. We're talking about the nation that runs the nationality. Because I agree with you. We're talking about the nationality that runs America.
What nationality is that?
I'm in here and they're prospering, but they still know they don't run this country. They don't run. They don't run and own. They don't run anything here. And the same with
what nationality runs the country.
Man, hey, Zadok broke that down. We're talking about the British.
Say it. Don't say Zadok broke it down and try to beat around, but say it. What you trying to say? Like, be clear.
It was already stated. I don't got to get into it again. I don't got to say that.
Say it. Be
British?
No, don't worry about it. I'm good.
Who, the British?
It was the descendants of the Brits who came down here. You have
British.
I mean, they're the European powers, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you really want to get into that, I believe it goes back to Rome, but that's a whole it's a whole nother story.
The people who formed the foreign corporation of the United States of America to borrow money from foreign entities so that they could have a literal company to charge debt to if they weren't paid back. And every American citizen was used as a maritime stock. It was used as collateral to tell the French or to tell the Spanish, if you lend us this much to rebuild after the Revolutionary War, this is how much, even though we don't have literal money to give you, this is how many citizens we have, and this is how much each citizen can produce toward our debt. That's maritime stock. Every American citizen is traded as maritime stock on the stock market, whether we know it or not. That's why all of our Social Security cards and birth certificates are capitalized, because when we're born, they they actually open up a corporation in our name to trade on to trade on the stock market. The New
So let
Deal
me ask a
also,
question.
I want to finish this.
I'm sorry.
Deal, Dre, just so I can finish the thought. The New Deal gave us the social security number and the birth certificate. Why? Because now they can never have it again, where if the stock market falls out, now that it's global, America's debt is tied to its citizens, which is why when you'll see the American debt on the TV screen, if you pay attention to CNBC and them economic channels with the stock market, they'll say every American man, woman, and child owes $3,700 toward the national debt. You like, well, how does that happen? Because your birth certificate and social security card is a corporation on the books of the foreign corporation of the United States of America. And the individuals who opened that foreign corporation, bro, their children still run this country till this day. Do not be fooled by who make money and who got hundreds of millions. Tyler Perry is a billionaire and don't run nothing here.
Right.
You know what I mean? He rich though.
Just because you see Nigerians making money and they're doctors, that don't mean they're not running nothing.
So, all right,
Well,
so
we're
what
not.
you gonna say, Dre?
The initial and it was vague, kind of, on what the initial topic was about, so I'm totally with you guys on all that. There was no goal of like, can this be accomplished? But so we're all in agreement that no matter your skin color, no matter your nationality, if you come to America, you can apply certain principles that will lead you and your family to a position of wealth. And if possible, you could possibly impact the political aspect of this country as well, though we are still including that because you as a nation originally aren't connected to some land where you can apply your I guess any kind of laws, whether it's Yahweh's or anything like that, you are still captive. So we are saying there is nothing holding anybody back of color from succeeding economically in this land, to where if you're poor, you could apply some certain things right now that would help you out. We're all in agreement of that.
Nah, I can't agree with that.
Why not? Because we just said the Nigerians can do it. You said
only for one reason.
You said you can tell me how to get bread now and hook me up with jobs.
No, yeah, I can tell you how to get bread, but that don't mean you're gonna necessarily have any power. I think what we've done is we've conflated. Okay. Oh, you're talking about just making some money? Yeah, anybody can make some money. I know dudes who make $8,000 in 1 week on the block and blow it. So I whether, even though it's illegal, so what? At the end of the day, when we live in a country where the United States government went to the New York Mafia and asked them to open up the docks in World War I, the United States military asked the Mafia in New York for permission to use the docks, bro. Crime pays here, legal and illegal. All I can say is this, is that any person can make money in this country, and we got too much proof to say no one can make money in this country. Anyone who could say they can't make money here is basically probably more than likely lazy. But now there are different levels of money, and I think I shared this with Voss years ago. Woodrow Wilson, who was president of the United States, he actually gave the laureate speech to the graduating class at Harvard University in 1911. He said, while the American dream is basically promoted to all citizens, pardon me, we need these are the people who understand how these things work for real. He said, we need the greater majority of the mass of the citizenry to understand and accept that even though the American dream is possible, we need the greater majority of them to be willing to work the menial, laborious tasks of society, without which no nation, no civilized nation will survive. So all I'm telling you is that if every American citizen did exactly what they say is necessary to live whatever the American dream is, that's when everyone will find out how much it's a lie. Because
the country can't survive without a bottom class to feed off of.
You can't survive. Capitalism cannot survive without a consumer class.
And that's
And the consumer
and I
class
think that's where
can't be a very wealthy class because
and I think that's what
spend your
where
I'm sorry. Go ahead, boss. I hear you trying to
I was just gonna say that's where a lot of our I apologize. That's where a lot of our debates start is with that statement right there. Because like I'll say something like that, or Zadok could say something like that, and then Voss will come in and start dropping links to stuff that different people, like different quotes from what's your man's name?
That's Gav. Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Bro, you sounded like Boss. Yo, OG, you rubbing off on him, son. He sounded like you. My bad.
What I was saying is like that's how those discussions began. And my question is to Dre, to Voss, or whoever wants to chime in, if Voss is still here. Is it possible for a whole zip code to change its status and become wealthy with those principles? If a zip code, and I'm not just talking about a prosperous zip code. I'm talking about the ones that we've been talking about. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You're in poverty. It's your own fault because your mamas and daddies ain't home. Is it possible to get married, apply the principles that you say will create wealth for you, and is it possible for them to move that zip code? Well, and I mean, go to the hood and be like, move the wealthier zip code.
All right, let Voss hold on. Let Voss answer because he was quiet for a minute. I just want to.
You think that I say that if you're in poverty, it's your fault? I don't think that you say that if you're in poverty, it's your fault. I think when we start having that discussion, then that's when the links come in to this is why we have this problem that fathers aren't in the homes and this, that, and other. And I'm saying that in a sense, that is what you're saying, is that if we do these things in principle, then we can move the narrative from here to there, from poverty to wealth. And I'm saying, is it possible to do that with the entire zip code? Because that's always been my argument. Like
the reason why I had to ask you that is because you kind of characterized it and you put that in there. I don't say that if you was poor, it's your fault. I don't like. I grew up poor. It's not my fault.
You said if you stay poor. I mean, don't you say that though? If you stay poor, it's really your own fault. Or how is it?
Here's how I word it.
Okay.
You are responsible for everything that is in front of you.
Yes.
Everything. If you on the ground, like you are responsible to get up. Yes, somebody should help you. Might not even be your own fault. But what else I'm gonna do? Lie there and die? Just not built for that. So your responsibility is different from your fault. Fault is causation. You may not be. There's a lot of stuff in my life I'm not the cause of, brother. A lot of things in my life and in my heart and in my mind, I am not the cause of. My family introducing me to pornography, not my family, leaving pornography around the crib and me discovering that's not my fault.
Right.
But carrying that into my marriage, I'm responsible.
Yes.
No different with money or anything else. But that being said, there's a saying that goes, a generation can only be wise in its own time. I've never seen a whole zip code do anything positive. A whole zip code is more likely to get on meth or lean before they do something positive together. So when I'm communicating my ideas, I'm only talking to who I'm talking to. I'm on I tell my kids, rest of your classmates is lazy Americans. You can smash them. I'm not saying if you and your classmates, you. So when I'm saying you can, I'm not saying we as a people, because we as a people don't mean anything to anybody in America.
Right.
America's pluralistic. So when you ask me, is it possible if a whole zip code, that's the hugest if I've ever heard of. I speak on the premise that a whole zip code never will. I speak on the premise that a whole race never will, a white, black, or whatever. And even these Asians and immigrants that come in by third generation, these same studies, I was looking for the book I got it from, these same studies show that by third generation, those things that make these foreigners exceptional, it goes away because they don't feel the pressure on their back to prove anything. And a lot of them don't come here with comfort. They come here like, it's on my back. I'm not, like, I've seen the worst of my country. So if you ask me, can a whole zip code do it? No, absolutely. Will a whole zip code ever do anything though? I don't think so. So
hey, Voss.
Yeah, that's let me say this. That's what I agree with. Like I think that whole setting it up to where can a zip code do it, that's to set it up for failure. Like that large
the reason
never
my thing is always
the reason why
my thing is always this. Don't wait for your freaking zip code.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Like, because
the reason why I asked
your zip code might be on some straight loser stuff, and you better be able to cut that in order to do what's best for you and your responsibility. Because culturally, dudes got a greater allegiance to their skin than their own flesh and blood in their crib.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell me Black Lives Matter when your crib don't matter. I grew up in the hood just like y'all. I was given what I'm saying. So everything that people try to tell, like, oh, you know, it's not always like this. I don't know. I grew up somewhere. There was a mentality there. I brought a lot of it into my adult life. Most of the people that thought that way, when I started doing something different, I got different results. I try to tell people that. They say no. What I'm going to do? That's all I know.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
You can't ask no more of a man than that.